Well, folks, again, you're waiting. I know, especially the time checking nerds out there. But once again, it's great to be here. I'm Pep Rosenfeld from Boom Chicago, and it is great to be back with my favorite group of nerds, nay, super nerds, the partners, customers, friends, and members of the still super easy to pronounce NLIX, or as the kids are saying, NLIX. Yeah, it still doesn't help. I feel like it's weird that you guys are still sticking with that name. Like, it's been almost 6 months since I made fun of the name as difficult, and you're still sticking with it. I mean, cool. It's cool to stick to your guns. If you ask me, NLIX, it sounds like a synthetic party drug. You know what I mean? It's like one of those party drugs where when you read about it in the news, you're like, kids today. Why do they have to use stuff like NLIX? Why can't they just use mushrooms and LSD like Jan, Leon, Marine, and Jan Paul? At the club, the kids are like, did you just say NLIX? Oh, man, we all call it NLIX. And I'd be like, told you. So anyway, it's great to be back with all of you guys. I was part of the late summer drink back in September. And if September still counts as late summer, I can just assume that this event in mid-March is called the early summer drink. So it's good to be part of it. It's an honor to be asked back. I mean, I thought it was an honor. I at first when I was asked, I was like, I guess it's an honor, or is it? Then I started wondering, maybe I'm just the only comedian in Europe that thinks networks and internet exchanges are actually funny. Maybe every other comedian that NLIX talked to was like, oh my God, a job. That's great. Since the pandemic, all the comedy clubs have been closed and all of the theaters have been closed. And I just sit at home, making a podcast that nobody except my mother listens to. I need a job. So what's this job about? Oh, networks and internet exchanges. Yeah. You know what? I think I'm booked that day. Yeah, I'm supposed to do a Zoom comedy show for my sister's kids' birthday party. So no, thank you. But whatever the reason, I'm psyched to be back here and with all y'all again. We do have a little game coming up in the near future, but for now, I'm gonna just stick my chat. I'm gonna switch my chat over to there we go. I'm gonna stick my chat over to the stage so anybody chats and I'll be able to see it. I was in the backstage chat, which I'm afraid you're not privy to. Anyway, I told you guys last time that as a comedian, I can be a bit of a pessimist. And I'm not going to lie, the last 6 months has not exactly made me less of a pessimist. I mean, look, here we are today. Today, another day of sharing ideas, connecting, and pretending that the barking dogs and crying babies are coming from someplace else. Only in a virtual event can the speaker be late because the link he was clicking didn't work. You never heard that before the pandemic. By the way, I said maybe a good name for this would be the early summer drink, but I feel like this time we didn't even get sent a cool box of like drinks and booze and sand and coffee grounds, all that stuff we got last time. Like, I'm kind of like, really, NLIX? I'm sticking with NLIX. I'm going to make it work. Really, guys? Like, you got us used to all the free drinks and towels and all the other swag, and now we get nothing? I mean, I thought 2020 was a good year for networks and the internet, but maybe not. Someone in the chat writes, business is thriving. I thought business was thriving. Where's my sweet, sweet box taste of the thriving business? Anyway, I heard a story about those summer boxes. Now, this is a true story. It's about one of you, a Ms. Stefanova from Sofia. And I would say hi to Ms. Stefanova, but she's not here. She's not actually part of the drink this time, the non-drink. And maybe this story is why. It seems that back in September, when we were all, unpacking our boxes and making ourselves fancy drinks with, warm gin and coffee and pepper, somewhere in Sofia, Ms. Stefanova was feeling left out because her box had not yet arrived, which is a drag. It's totally a real thing. It's a drag. She must have been like, oh, you know what? NLIX would never let me down. I'm sure my box will come in a day or two. Yeah, more like a month or two, or 3 or 4, or never. Her box never arrived. How do I know? Because just 2 weeks ago, the box showed up at the offices of NLIX. NLIX got the box. It was finally returned by what I guess is the slowest post office in the world. It's like the dude that slowed down the American post office for Trump went to, Sofia and messed with their system. Anyway, not only did Ms. Stefanova not get a box in September, and not only did none of us get a box right now, the only folks who actually have a box from NLIX is NLIX. While we're all sitting here cold sober or with a glass of water, they are drinking her booze. So to our hosts, please drink up. Today, you're getting drunk for all of us. Most importantly, in Sofia, Ms. Stefanova, who doesn't even want to be part of today's meeting. So I'm not gonna be with you guys too long. I know you've got a lot to talk about today and a lot to think about today. After me, you're gonna break up into one of two sessions. You're either gonna get to hear from John Hiembo over at Telegeography in Washington, D.C. in the United States, or Jesse Roberts at Quantum Delta here in the Netherlands. Now, both talks should be great. I was curious what you guys would be getting into, so I talked to both of the speakers to sort of find out what their plans were. I talked to John. Now, John is going to lead you on a tour of his new 2021 Internet map. And I got to say, I'd never heard of the Internet map before, but having talked about it, it sounds cool. Now, these guys in DC, they've been making these maps since 2009. In fact, the original 2009 map is currently in a museum in Frankfurt. Now, I heard that from John. I was like, yeah, of course it's in a German museum. This thing checks a lot of German boxes. It's like, oh, yes, Pep, we love this map. You see, it checks a lot. It does a lot of things for us Germans. It includes precision measurement, distrust of the internet, and best of all, map making. All you need is a prompt timekeeping and strict adherence to the rules, and then you have it. German bingo. But I asked for more details of the map, and so Michael V. I'm going to take a quick tangent. Michael V. is talking about quantum, and we'll talk about quantum in a sec. I think you're right, though. If you add crypto to it and voila, investors pop up. And then if you add GameStop to it, then teenage investors pop up and everybody gets rich somehow except for me. But back to John and his map. The map is a revisualization of all the work they do examining hundreds of regions and hubs and secondary hubs and spokes, and each one has a different color and regions. It shows where the regions are connected, and the circles, their largeness shows the size and capacity. I mean, it's complicated, and making these things is a super labor-intensive project that takes a lot of time to complete. I was like, John, how often do you do these? And he was like, it's so labor-intensive. The last time we did it was back in 2018, and I was like, wow. 3 years ago, how much different is the map in 3 years? And he was like, not that much. Like, oh, poor John. Not that much. He worked all that hard in time for not that much of a difference. Well, good luck, John, and enjoy the talk. The map is super cool, and if you go over there, you're going to dig it. You're going to be freaked out. You're going to be like, oh, I can't believe there's so much internet everywhere, and we're making money off it. So you're going to love it. It's like looking at your bank account growing in real time. Okay, I also talked to Jesse, and if quantum is your thing, and I'm not talking about Quantum of Solace, Franz von Westen, fan of mediocre James Bond movies, I'm talking about real quantum. And if quantum's your thing, then Jesse is your man. And I have to say, like folks are saying in the chat, quantum is fascinating. Everyone knows it's exciting. Everyone knows it's amazing. No one knows really what it is or how it works, but we all know it's supposed to be awesome. And I mean, for nerds of a certain age, quantum means one of two things. It either means super fast computing power, due in part to the way qubits can be entangled and thus, to oversimplify, occupy two different places, call them Lois and Bob, at the same time. Or, and this is another equally important scientific possibility, it is when Scott Bakula jumps from body to body while trying to get back to his own time. Right? Come on, Jan knows what I'm talking about. Oh, my God. Quantum Leap. That was 5 seasons of time travel television. That was perfect. I mean, sure, Bakula's next gig was helming Star Trek Enterprise, the second worst of all of the Star Trek shows, Deep Space Nine, of course, being the worst. But Dean Stockwell went on to be Cylon #1 in Battlestar Galactica. So I feel like their sci-fi careers average out. But I digress. And as long as I've digressed, I'm going to take a look at the chat again. Michael V, who is Han Fuego in the chat, wonders if there's a dark spot where North Korea was supposed to be. Hopefully, it's not a dark spot that then expands to the rest of that chunk of Asia after a North Korean nuclear test goes awry. What else? Let's get entangled with some qubits. And Mike V notes, that doesn't sound PG. Well done. Anyway, back to my conversation with Jesse. The website of this event promises that Jesse will lead, and I quote, an interactive presentation taking us into the subatomic realms and lead us along boson particles and through string theory toward qubits and the answers. Now, I asked him about this, and Jesse explained qubits. And then I asked him about subatomic particles, and he explained subatomic particles. Then I asked him about boson particles, and there was a brief pause, and then Jesse looked up boson particles on Google and was able to explain it to me. So I feel like in today's talk, everyone will be learning. So you'll find, I feel like right now quantum computing is a bit like VR, where like every year we hear about it and everyone's super excited about its potential. But right now, all it gives us when we try to deal with it is a huge headache. But maybe he'll be able to tell us more about that. Valentin says bozo particles. And I like that. Bozo particles are actually what are used in evidence when a clown is called into court for sexual harassment. They look at the bozo particles, and frankly, that is also not a PG topic. So after those two breakout sessions, you're going to have a chance to do some networking. And I got to say, the networking social event sounds like it's going to be pretty cool. I mean, from a nerd point of view, I got to say the good folks at NLIX have out-nerded themselves. They're using a platform called Meebo. Now, I heard about Meebo, and I was like, that's kind of a joke all by itself. Like, to me, Meebo sounds like a child's toy that teaches the kids about narcissism, where you pull the string and the doll is like, hey, kids, I'm your pal Meebo, and our friendship is all about me. It's like the perfect toy for Donald Trump, you know? Hey, Meebo, it's not about you. It's about me. No, it's me. No, it's me. No, it's me. No, it's me. It's probably like a conversation between Trump and Trump Jr. But once again, I digress. The Meebo platform, it's cool. You're going to walk around these virtual islands as an avatar, and when you meet someone else's avatar, you can have a chat with them, and the whole thing is from a first-person perspective. So it really feels like, you know, you're walking around this island, like you get to socialize, and you get like that creepy, you know, first-person shooter vibe when you bump into someone in the group that you don't like. So, you know, you can enjoy that. Best part of this is that there's going to either be 4 or 5 islands. We hadn't quite sorted it out when I went to press, but there's going to be islands. And in true NLIX spirit, each of the islands is named after a Star Wars planet, which I love so much. The 4 or 5 planets are Coruscant, Texel, Tatooine, Alderaan, and maybe, if we're lucky, Hoth. And I love it. It's 100% true. And I mean, if you're a Star Wars nerd, since you're a Star Wars nerd, you can kind of imagine, you can add to your socializing fun by imagining that each island has some of the properties of that Star Wars planet for which it's named. For example, if you're on Hoth, you know what you can do? You put on your winter parka and you do your impression of a tauntaun, and every time you fart, you can be like, and I thought I smelled bad on the outside. Huh? On Tatooine, obviously, no matter who you're socializing with, the topic of conversation should be you guys whining about how you don't want to pick up power converters. If you're on Kessel, you can start a conversation about whether a parsec is a unit of distance or a unit of time. You guys enjoy that. Coruscant's good. On Coruscant, you can enjoy the hustle and bustle of a huge modern city while also acknowledging the ancient temple right in the middle of everything. See, on Coruscant, you experience the conflict between modern cities and ancient religion, both vying for power. Cities versus religion. It turns out that Coruscant is kind of like life in the United States in 2021. I like that very much. And of course, there's Alderaan. On Alderaan, I feel like you're trying to socialize, but you're also constantly looking over your shoulder, thinking maybe this is the moment when your planet will be destroyed by the Death Star, which, when you think about it, is actually kind of a weird choice for an island to socialize on. You know what I mean? Or it's perfect. or it's the perfect planet. It's like, hey, man, take my contact information quickly. Who knows when this whole thing's going to be over? Tangent point. Do you think that on Alderaan they were like, hey, man, look, the Empire is not my favorite thing for sure, but like, it's weird they built the thing called the Death Star, right? Like, that can't be cool. Also, have you noticed it's in orbit around our planet? You better give me your contact information now. Is that too much Star Wars? I feel like too much Star Wars is why I was hired, so I'm just going to never ask that question again. Okay, now before any of that stuff that I just described comes up, we are going to play a game, and that game is called Meet Your Peers. And now there's going to be that awkward moment that always happens, and that is the moment when I decide to share my screen, but it doesn't look exactly like I thought it was going to look. And something's different from last time, and I don't know why. I can't share my screen so easily, and I'm going to click that, and that doesn't work. And, oh, there it is. There's the old screen share. So here we go. Great. That is what we're going to do. Okay, so this is a game. Now, while we're here, and before I start sharing, I think it'd be also great if we could get the 4 contestants up, because here's how this game works. It's called Meet Your Peers, and on Meet Your Peers, I asked 10 of you for personal stories. Now, of the 10, only 4 of you actually responded, so to 6 of you, thanks for nothing. And your job as the players is to guess who did what. Guess who did what. Now, while I'm sharing, I can't see the chat, so someone else is going to have to keep an eye on the chat during the voting. But here are contestants, and it's time, I think, to get the contestants also on screen with me. And again, I can't see what you can see, so I'm just going to assume that's happening. And if it's not happening, I hope someone will, in a clever way, tell me, hey, Pep, slow down. We're not sorted yet. Anyway, the contestants are Jan-Paul Decker, Sven de Koster, Mark Daly, and of course, I think that's Luc Denis. Luc, I don't, your French name eludes me pronunciation-wise. So like Enlix, I'm going to be cool getting it wrong. Now, before I continue, are we ready? Are we ready? Are the folks there? Can someone verbally tell me, since I can't see? Yeah, we're all ready to go. Yep. Contestants in position?
We are here.
All right. Welcome, contestants, and thank you for being willing to share your stories as no one else did. And of course, I tried to make gender diversity a thing in my contestants, but because this is an NLIX event, that is literally impossible. So we've got 4 dudes with 4 stories, and here we go. Your job at watching is to guess who's who, and then we'll hear a short version of the story. Question number 1. Question number 1 is, who got in trouble for dragging their spouse on a cruise ship? Was it Jan-Paul, Luc, Mark, or Sven? Get your answers in. Get your answers in the chat. I can't stress enough that I cannot see what's in the chat, but I'm going to give you just 10 seconds. I know who I would guess if it was me, but and if everybody has made their guess, and hopefully some insulting joke guesses that you guys can read in the chat. But again, I cannot read a darn thing. The correct answer is why is the correct? There's the correct answer is C. Mark. Correct answer is C. Mark. Mark. Can we put Mark in the spotlight? Mark Daly, I'd like to hear the story of when you got in trouble for dragging your wife off a cruise ship.
So firstly, can everybody hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, excellent. So actually, we booked a bit of a trip. The cruise ship is stationary. It's called the Queen Mary in LA.
Wait, hang on. I got to back up, Mark, and I'm going to interrupt you from time to time with questions. It's a stationary cruise ship.
Correct.
So it's exactly. more of a ship than a cruise.
Yeah, my wife likes cruise ships, but not going out on the water. So we decided that we.
I hope that's not a metaphor, Mark.
It's not. So we decided that we would stay there for one night while we were transferring from London to our hometown, Melbourne, in Australia. So we're very excited. We checked in as soon as we were able to. 2 p.m. It's a beautiful old cruise ship, one of the, I think the old Royal, something like that. And as far as I knew, we had a flight the next day at 8:30 a.m. To fly out of LAX. So we enjoyed the day on the ship, and we had to go to bed early because we had to get up at about 5 a.m. And so we got up in the morning. My wife wasn't too pleased with early mornings. Jump in our car. Go ahead.
No, I'm just chuckling. I think that's pretty funny.
Jump in the car, get to LAX, drop the car off, go into the airport, and we're trying to check in, and the system wouldn't let us. And so I asked for a lady to help, and she said, "Oh, you're too early." And I'm going, "What do you mean? A flight's at 8:30?" She said, "Yeah, 8:30 tonight." And I'm going, "What?" My wife started crying, so she stopped. And of course, the Americans the way that they display times is they use the AM PM thing, whereas I'm used to like that should have been 20:30, right? I'm going, oh no, and my wife's crying, and she's going, I could have been there all day. And so what I had to do is basically rent a car out and drive her back there and spend the day on the boat, but they wouldn't let us on, so that was even worse. And then basically we spent the rest of the day at the beach, finally got home, and it was about a half later where my wife actually spoke to me and said, look, I'm sorry for crying. I didn't really want to cry, but I was so angry at you. And she said it was either cry or hit you in the head. So I took the crying.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, Mark. When my wife's mad at me, crying is not usually where she goes.
Yeah,
Mark, that is a drag. I think my favorite and saddest part of the story is the image of you getting back to the cruise ship, or the ship, if you will, and them not letting you on. In my mind, you're spreading out a towel in the shadow of the ship.
Yes. Yeah, it wasn't a good move.
Mark, thank you very much. Now, before I ask everybody to give you a virtual round of applause, very quickly in one sentence, how about you tell us about that time in the club with your girlfriend and the woman from work? No, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. Everybody, virtual round of applause for Mark. Thank you very much, Mark.
You're welcome.
And thankfully he wasn't smacked in the head by his wife. Question 2.
I nearly got smacked in the head at the club, though.
You got. I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense. I think I like the idea of all just silently imagining the story of you at the club with your girlfriend and someone from work. I have a feeling what we're imagining is better than the story.
Yeah, unfortunately, they both arrived at separate times while I was fully engaged with one of them when I shouldn't have been, maybe.
You were like a walking sitcom back then with 2 dates, 1 club.
I was young, man.
Oh man, we're all young months, and then we got married, and our wives cry when we can't read the clock.
Yeah, right. And then I lost my hair.
That makes 2 of us. Question 2. Question 2 is, who is a bit too much of a thrill seeker when skiing? Too much of a thrill seeker. Is it John Paul, Luke, Mark, or Sven? And yeah, Mark's up there. You know, there could be another story from him. You don't know. So get your guesses in. Get your guesses in the chat. And again, I can't even read the chat, so I can't. I mean, I want you to take your vote seriously, but deep down, we should all know your vote doesn't count because I can't even count it. The correct answer is, so look at the chat and see if you agree with the correct answer. The correct answer is certainly not Mark. That would have been ridiculous. The correct answer is Luke. So Luke, let's put you in the spotlight. Let me hear about your thrill-seeking ski adventure.
Sure. So first, can you hear me also?
Your name right? Is it Luke?
It's actually Loic. It's because it has 2 points on the I, so you actually have to pronounce the I, but it's Loic. French, so
Loic.
It's difficult for everybody.
Loic, it's super easy. All I have to do is know how. Loic. It's not like NLIX, which is ridiculous. Tell us your story, Loic.
Yeah, sure. So I was I love skiing since many years, and what I really love about skiing is just go off trail, on the side in the woods, and of course if you go there, you never actually really know where you are going to end up. And somehow with a friend we were trying a new trail because, well, it's always fun to try new things. And at one point we were completely lost. We never even knew where we were. And at one point we saw some kind of a path, but it was really strange. It was like two pieces like going like this, and we were like, okay, that's the only exit path, so we are going this way. And the further we were going, the more we realized that in fact we were on top of a frozen river. And of course we were seeing, when we were skiing on top of this, we were seeing some big holes on the right, on the left, and water under us, and we were like, we should get out of here really, really quickly because it's not good.
Oh my God!
But well, I'm still here today, so it's okay.
Wow, we call that Jesus skiing. Jesus skiing is when you ski on water, but not on water skis. You know, it's when you're ice skiing. And did you feel like you were in danger? Were you a little scared?
Well, if you feel scared at this point, you just stop at your place and you don't move. So we had to move forward, and yeah. Thankfully, I was not alone, so it was like, okay, the first one to fall will call the emergency. It was like we are trying to make dark humor at this point.
It's probably good that you were on the skis because then it distributes your weight a little bit, more over the ice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're gonna stupidly be on thin ice, everybody, I recommend doing it on skis, Loic style. Loic, thank you very much for your story. Round of a virtual applause for Loic. And if you see him on Coruscant in Meebo, then make sure you buy him a virtual drink. Okay, we're in the final round.
I need to tell you something. Sven is still missing.
Sven is still missing.
Yeah.
Then I will sum up his story quickly, but the guessing still goes on. And thank you. So Sven, I just wanted on the record that Sven was brave enough to share his story, but too chicken to actually show up to tell it. Let's just all make a personal note of that. And if you see him in Tatooine, you spit on his feet virtually. These are the two stories for you to guess. One of the stories is one person got busted for public peeing, and one person had his jumbo knife confiscated by the airport police, but then the airport police returned the jumbo knife to him. So who was it? Was it Sven has a knife and Jan Paul likes to pee, or was Jan Paul the knife owner and Sven is the peer? And that's not to be confused with you virtually peeing on Sven's feet if you see him in Tatooine for not telling his own story. Get your guesses in. Get your guesses in. Get your guesses in. Guessing is closed. Sven is the knife story, and Jan Paul likes to pee. Now, look, here's the thing. I could tell you the knife story, but it's not great. He had a knife. It was confiscated by the airport police. He conned him into returning it. I thought it was shocking that they gave him back a knife, which he could then carry with him on an airplane. But the real story, the real finale is Jan Paul. So, Jan Paul, why don't you tell us the story of your public peeing predicament?
Oh, I knew you were going to pick that one, right?
So it was the best of the stories you said.
I was getting out of the bar and I really need to pee, and with a couple of friends, and we were walking in Leiden, and but I didn't want to feel going back, so I thought, oh yeah, I can do it here against the building, but behind me there were a couple of friends, and they were looking really weird at me, like, what are you doing? And I said, well, peeing, so I peed. But then I suddenly felt two very strong hands in my neck, and there were two big police guys and arresting me because I'm still while I was peeing, all right. So, but I was peeing against the police station, and there was an open window, and they could actually watch me. So they threw me in the cell in the jail, and they promised that I will pee against my house as well, and other threats that I can't really recall, and I suppressed.
And how long did they hold you in jail?
Well, a little bit over an hour, and then they let me go. Yeah.
All right, now look, it's been a long time since this story happened. Tell the truth. You knew it was a police station, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I could have known because my friends were looking really bewildered, and they were sort of looking a little bit shocked.
But if you had known, you would have peed extra, right?
No, maybe pooped.
I'm glad it didn't come to that. A last question is, when your pants were down and they slapped the cuffs on you, did they let you pull your pants up first?
Well, not sure about that anymore. They didn't put the cuffs; they just hold me like that. But my zipper was still open, so it must have looked very funny.
Did they take your fingerprints, and was there an 11th print? Yeah, Paul, everybody give him a round of virtual applause for his very, very real police story, peeing. And I'm afraid 3 stories is it. That is the end. I'm going to stop sharing now, and I'm going to tell you that because I always find that's an important thing to do. And let me get back to y'all. And now let me see. So this is the first time I've seen your guys' faces, to be honest. Mark, can we see your face as well?
Me? That's me.
Yeah. Can I see your face? I just want to see just how much of a hair loss you're talking about.
Quite significant.
Well, yeah, no, that's on purpose hair loss. What I got going on is definitely by accident. Anyway, Sven, you made it. Sven, you made it. Sven, okay, Sven, you've missed the game, but now very quickly, because I'm sort of over time, very quickly, can you tell us how you conned the airport police into giving you your big knife back?
Yeah, well, they were giving me a hard time, telling me that my knife was too big. And then we were arguing that the blade should not be bigger than your hand. But those Spanish guys, they have smaller hands than I have. So it went kind of unpleasant, and they start yelling at me, and they took my passport. And then 5 minutes later, they were yelling, "Where's your passport?" I said, "I don't have a passport." So they were yelling, I didn't have a passport, and it get more ugly. And then I thought, well, they put me in jail, and they will not know my name and will never find me again. So there's only one thing, the big mouth. So I start yelling back, asking for the station manager. And, well, that was the magic word, and they scared away. And then a beautiful lady came to me, and she apologized, and she took my knife, and she was able to put it in the vault of the airplane. And just when the airplane took off, this nice young stewardess came to me, bent over, and said, "Are you a passenger at the Costa?" I said, "Yes." "Well, this should be your knife." "Well, thank you." And by the time I had a little bit smaller fingers, I could turn the knife around on my finger. So I did kind of Crocodile Dundee theme there, put it in my back pocket. The people around me were looking very amazed.
You know, if you ever find yourself in trouble with the police again for a knife for any reason, what I recommend you do is you call up Jan Paul, and he will pee on their stage, track them for you, and then you just grab the knife and run. Folks, that is almost it for me. I'm out of time, but you all are in luck because you guys get to go to the session of your choice. So ask yourself, are you feeling like quantum today? Are you feeling like some internet mapping? And before we go, before I tell you how to do this, let me give one more last round of applause for all 4 of our contestants. And if you bump into Sven on Tatooine or Coruscant or wherever, don't pee on him and don't spit on him. I take it all back. He's a great guy. Sven, I would never insult you when you weren't here. So whatever session you want, the way to get to that session is the little sessions icon on the left. Over on the left, there's like reception, which is a little house. There's stage, which is a camera, which is kind of a sign of the times that stage is a camera instead of a stage. Sessions, take a look at that sessions. If you ask me, it looks like one of those floating Senate seats from the Senate chamber in Star Wars. Speaking of Coruscant, you know what I mean? Those like in the Galactic Senate. And I know you guys know. You guys are like, oh yeah, Pep, we get it. Floating seats. Palpatine threw them at Yoda during their fight. It was Revenge of the Sith. We get it. So if you get it and you're into it, then go to Coruscant when you're in Meebo. But anyway, you click on that and you are in business. I'm out of here, but you guys are not. I mean, let's face it. Internet networking marches on, even if you guys have to do this remotely. I mean, sure, sometimes when you're networking remotely, you're accidentally on mute or your screen is frozen, but you're marching. So you guys have a great day. I'm Pep Rosenfeld. I hope I see you next time. And next time we get drinks, right? Enlix.
Cheers to
Love that.
Bye.
Hey guys, I'm just
Bye-bye.
gonna awkwardly stay here while you guys all buzz off.
Cool.
Leon.